broken by them in any way. You see, many have come into their incarnation as these beautiful, moldable souls that they are, with the intent of the potter that they become beautiful vessels to contain glory, the glory of God, to be God on the earth, to be full of light emanation. That was the desire of the potter for all souls. But unfortunately, they got off the wheel and into the ovens of the culture, and they were hardened into a form. Are you following the metaphor?
Yes.
And so, unfortunately, for some of those, if you were to try to reform them in some way, it would require shattering them. And that is not a good thing, you see. What is better is to stay on the potter's wheel. Let yourself be shaped. Keep it wet, keep it loose, keep it moving, keep it undefined, keep it open to being something fresh and new in every moment. To be, in order that you may be a vessel for whatever the potter wishes to bring to the earth. And not hardened. And so all of us have areas of our heart that become hardened by wounding. And when we have been wounded by life or structures in the culture, or especially by others, mommy and daddy wounds are always the biggest. Would you agree?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
And we all have that in common. But let's grow up now, right? And stop blaming our parents. We are spiritually mature people here. And so we have these wounds. But if we want to stay pliable and fresh on the wheel, we must let go of our attachments to those things. See, these wounds, they are like little bits of debris that get caught in the clay. And the master can reach in and just pluck it out. That is all. And this is one of the things we are asking of this vessel. And we will share it with you because we want you to join this intention. Sometimes this vessel reads the things coming to her. And people are struggling and hurting. They are in pain. And she is concerned that she cannot deliver. And she cannot as a human. But as her beautiful God self-soul, she most certainly can deliver. And so this is what we asked of her. We said, we want you to have an expectation of miracles. Actually, it was Michael, our boss, who said, we want you to expect miracles. So that's the only job, to just expect them, to make a space for them. And we gave her a picture because pictures are helpful for her. And this is the picture. If you've ever wanted to get on an elevator, and the elevator was closing, but some kind person that was already on the elevator stuck out their foot or their hand to hold it open for you. Has this ever happened for you?
Yeah.
So this is what we are asking of this vessel, and you may join. Would you simply get on the elevator and be moving up in your trajectory, up in your perspective, in your vibration, in your frequency, in being the enlightened soul, the enlightened being that you are. Move up. But as you're moving up, should the door open and someone asks to get on, will you put your hand in the door for them so that they can get on as well? So being a vessel staying soft, pliable, moldable, not attached to a particular way in which you want to be used. If the master wants to fill a vessel with honey, the vessel does not talk back to the master and say, oh, no thanks, I'd rather have some vegetable soup inside of me. You see, the vessel doesn't talk back to the master. The vessel is happy to serve. Happy to serve the one who knows better than she. The one who knows all. The one who knows of what service she might be. And the highest service of which one might be. And so, my dear, you are of high service. You are a vessel. Wherever you are, whatever you are doing in life, whatever your station is, whether you are the president of the United Nations or the man who picks up the trash on Monday morning, you are of a high station. You are a vessel of divine content. And what you carry is bliss and perfection and wholeness and joy. So if there are things that have been hardened into the vessel of who you are, it's okay. Allow yourself to come back on the wheel. Allow the master to supernaturally lift out these things. You see, this vessel has been writing this week about emotional freedom. And there is a misunderstanding about what it takes to be free from your trauma and your wounds. For many of us, our egoic nature wants to be heard and listened to, and the ego wants to rehash the old over and over and over. And do victims deserve to be heard? Most certainly they do. Most certainly. Do they deserve comfort? Yes. And love? Yes. And acceptance? Certainly. But then there comes a time where the repeating of one's story becomes an attachment to an egoic personality of victimization. You see, you have been a victim at a point in the past. True. But if you are going to be a victim now, it is your choice. And this is part of the oppression of dark entities on this planet, is they want all of us to identify heavily with an identity of victimization. And so they unleash trauma and hurt and wounding of every sort. And then they want you to get married to your stories, attached to them about your pain, in order that they can keep you re-traumatizing yourself over and over and over with your thoughts and feelings about a past wound. Does that sound familiar to anyone?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But you see, what you feel about a real wound can be felt fully one time. You can embrace the pain of what happened to you. You can fully embrace it once and feel every bit of it and be done but your fearful parts will tell you that you must hold on to a bit of it. And that you must not love and you must not trust, because if you love and if you trust, it will happen again. Well, who says it will happen again? Who says? Your fearful parts say. You see, fear is always built on a lie. And if you deal with the lie, then the fear will die. And there's so much noise out there around emotions and emotional freedom. There are even lists of dozens and dozens and dozens of possible things you might feel at any given time. But does that help you get free to think about it? See, thinking about a feeling and feeling it are two different things. And talking about a feeling and moving the energy of it are two different things. And many times in the talking about it, you re-traumatize yourself by reliving the emotion connected, rather than freeing yourself by just feeling it. So wounds ultimately are energies that you have tucked away in your body, in one or more places in your body, because your fearful mind has convinced you that if you feel it, it will be the end of you. You won't survive it. And that, my dear, is a lie. All emotions are energies. And as this gentleman so adequately taught this vessel on a consistent basis, you can transform any energy by what you think about. And there are only two choices here energetically: love or fear. Love or fear. Love or fear. So choose love and trust. And when you feel afraid, be so kind to yourself. If you were with a child that was frightened for some reason, you would not chastise the child. If you took a child to a movie and they were very frightened in the movie, you would take them by the hand and take them out of the movie, wouldn't you? So why would you treat yourself any different? Okay, let's open up for some conversation. You want to share anything right here?
Not right now, thank you. I can just say that a lot of what was just said I've been saying for years and years.
Mm-hmm.
You taught me all those things, didn't you? Anybody?
Question related on the subject.
Yes.
Well, it brought me, a question came up with that just was said. I just got a therapy session with a psychologist, and she does a particular way of therapy, and she brought me back to my childhood, and I was like, dude, I'm over that. But she insisted that it's not yet over, and actually through bringing me back to those memories, I started crying, and I was like, okay, maybe there's something that's unresolved. So what if you don't know? What if you think you've overcame it, or you think that's 20 years ago or 30? Like, what if I'm not aware? Is it still stuck in my body and I don't know?
Say something?
I think we'll both have some things for you on that.
Okay, I hear that all the time from patients that come to me. All of a sudden, these old things start to come up, and they say, "Man, I dealt with that for 10 years. I can't believe it's still there."
Yeah.
When you want to remember something, don't you repeat it over and over again?
Mm-hmm.
So when you go to talk therapy and you keep bringing this up,
Yeah.
it's going deeper and deeper and deeper.
It's gonna bring it up.
And that's why they say, "Oh, you're going to have to come to therapy for years and years and years." But all you have to do is feel the emotion completely and let your body do whatever it wants to do. If it wants to yell, scream. I had one patient, she took a baseball bat to her mattress, and she said she just hit her mattress for like an hour, pretended like it was her mother, and finally it was like, I'm not angry anymore. So if you're having trouble bringing it up, in your meditation, tune in to what's going on inside of your body. Just tune into it without thinking, because the emotion will come up. It wants to come up and leave. It wants to leave. And it's your energy that's preventing it from leaving. So there's actually, my master actually had this meditation where it was called dynamic meditation. And in the very first 15 minutes of it, you just started yelling and screaming and jumping like crazy, just going nuts. And the idea was, in the beginning you would like, I don't feel anything. And so you would just like fake it till you made it. So you would just pretend like you were angry and just start to scream a little bit. And the next thing you know, man, you're going nuts. You've brought it up. But it just, once again, you just have to experience that energy completely. And so there are different ways of doing that, including acupuncture, but there's other ways of doing it too. But talk therapy, it just puts it deeper and deeper, and so what happens eventually is your body has suppressed it even more because it's become deeper and deeper and more powerful. So you have to suppress it more, so you don't know it's there.
Yeah, one of the challenges is it becomes, when we talk about it, it can become part of our identity. And so then it's keeping us in the 40 constructs of what we think and believe about ourselves, and then we're not able to be the big soul that we are. And if it's based on fearful parts, it's, let me go back into channeling about that. Okay, so thank you for your answers, sir. And we would say also that if there's fruit, there's a root. So if you have some fruit in your life that's unpleasant for you, there's likely still an old historical root. True, you can't have apples without an apple tree and roots going into the ground, correct? But understand that with a therapist, it is their orientation, and part of their job is to find a problem, okay? That's what they're trained to do. And we're not in any way discounting their skill or their compassion or their love or their intention to do good and to heal. But we are questioning the method. So if you have an anticipation and intention to find a problem, you'll likely find one. And if you don't find one, you might invent one. But this is we're teaching you a shortcut. Are there people who get free in therapy? Yes. Are there people who go to therapy for 20 and 25 years and don't get free? Yes. So check the fruit. If you're feeling lighter, brighter, more of your higher self. But we will say that some people, their level of consciousness is far above the counselor which they are seeking out. And so that's not going to work out for them. If their level of consciousness is 400 and yours is 600, it's a mismatch, you see. And so you have to have someone who can, well, you don't have to have anything, But it is preferable to have someone who can see you in the perfection and wholeness of who you are. Because your fifth dimensional self, the part of you that existed before you came to live in the body in which you live in now, is perfect, it is unharmed, it is loving and loved, it is completely at rest with everything that has and hasn't happened for you in this lifetime. It doesn't need to fix any problem because there are no problems for your soul. Now, what the ego wants and needs is it needs to have a conflict, a drama, or a problem. And if there's not one, the ego will create one. Either in its interior life or exterior circumstances. The ego wants and needs to have problems, conflict, and drama. The ego wants and needs approval. And the ego wants and needs to be right. Now, I wonder, is there a therapist out there who, if you came to them and you told them your story, would say, "Oh dear, I think you're whole and well. I can't help you." I'm not sure. I have never heard of one. Have you? So the fruit, check the fruit always. Check the fruit. If you feel lighter, brighter, happier, more empowered, more of your true self, perhaps you want to proceed. But if you leave feeling doubtful, afraid, anxious, wanting to dig more, you see, you're never going to find a living body in a casket under the ground. Would you agree?
Yes.
Well, we hope not. So dig and dig and dig and dig as much as you want, and what you're going to find are old dead bones. The living are in the land of them. Be in the present moment. Now, we'll share a story that I hope will give you some clarity. I'll ask this gentleman if it's okay. Well, he doesn't know what story, but hopefully he will be okay with it.
Go for it.
Part of what is being asked of the potter, of the master of this couple, is to share some vulnerability about what it means to progress in a spiritual path. Okay? Yes?
Yes.
Because saints, well, just aren't saints, really. We found that out with the Catholic Church, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
So let's not have any of that. So I'll share a little story with you about this vessel and this gentleman. And he is correct. Many of the things that you are listening to and hearing are because the vessel learned these from her experiences with him. So, in her new relationship with this gentleman, they've been together just a few years now. There was, of course, the honeymoon phase, which most romantic relationships experience. Anybody here? Can I get an amen?
Amen.
The sex is great in the beginning, isn't it? Well, then this vessel began to some repressed things began coming up. And they would be looking forward to a romantic evening together. And the healthier parts of her and the loving parts of her were looking forward to those romantic evenings together.
No, not that story, please.
And some really great sex. But there were some fearful parts in there. And they would manifest. They would kick and scream and manifest any way they could to keep from having to be intimate. You see, this is another element of the ego. The ego wants to maintain separateness. Remember that. Your ego will always want you to maintain separateness from someone else. So her egoic parts would begin stirring around on Friday night or Saturday night, whatever night it was they were planning for. And she would suddenly feel really tired or a little sick, or she would find some reason to pick at him about something or blame him or start a fight. Is this true?
Yes.
And this began to happen often enough that it came into her consciousness from what we've been teaching and what the gentleman has been teaching her, that there must be some repressed wound there. Something old, something historical, some sort of fearful parts around being sexual, some sort of sexual trauma that was causing her to sabotage their intimacy. Are you following so far?
Yes.
So you see, there's no need for her to hire a therapist to tell her that. It's obvious by the fruit. Do we understand that?
Yes.
And no need to dig up some old bones in the backyard and think, well, who did it to me and why and what did they do and when? Because she didn't have any conscious recall of having been abused sexually. Okay? Are you with me?
Yes.
So she asked us, was I abused as a child? And we told her yes, and how old she was, and generally what happened, and that's enough. And really, even that wasn't required, because the fruit tells the story of the root. So you see, the thing must be pulled up by the root from the subconscious. It's buried there, and it's attached to beliefs like, I'll never be loved, or I can't trust others because they will hurt me, and so on and so on. And you see, the sexual trauma is not happening to her now. She's not unsafe. But the subconscious lie that was planted from the original trauma, that is what exists. The lie that I'm not lovable, I'm not safe, I can't trust men, whatever those lies were. And that is what has to be pulled up by the root. The subconscious beliefs attached to the original trauma. Now, the truth is, for this vessel, this sort of trauma is not just from this life, it's from repeated from many, many past lives. And so if you want to pay a therapist to dig through all that, it's going to take you 2 or 3 lives to get through it all, you see.
Then I guess you owe me more money.
So the subconscious belief can be pulled up by the root. This gentleman knows how to do it with treatments. You can also learn to do it yourself. So here's a simple way. Here's the fruit. The fruit was in this instant. She's uncomfortable about having sex and being avoidant. That's the fruit. So when the fruit is happening and she's conscious of it, all she needs to do is say, Judah, Yahweh, Jesus, higher self, whoever it is that you call upon, you say, would you please tag and treat this fear I have about sexual intimacy? Would you please tag it and treat it? Would you completely transform all the fear around it into love? Would you uproot any subconscious beliefs I have that are feeding this fear? And that is it. And you lay your head down on the pillow and you go to sleep and you let your higher self and your angel friends get to work on it. And we know this gentleman wants to add something.
Yes. So another way of doing that, actually maybe a little bit more simple, is if you're around somebody who has an emotion that's appropriate for the situation. So somebody just lost somebody and they're very sad, and you're around them and you feel very uncomfortable. That's because you have sadness. Or if you keep running into people who are angry, everywhere you go, somebody's angry, that's another way of looking and seeing, okay, I must have some anger inside of me because I keep creating situations where I'm in anger. So that can be a clue on what you need to look at, and then you can sit with that. And if it's, say it's anger that comes up, one of the things you can do is you can sit in a meditation and think about something that should have made you very angry and didn't, or something that did make you angry but not angry enough, and then see if that won't pull that up. And it doesn't matter whether that was the situation that created the original anger or not. Once that healing process starts, once that anger starts coming up, it can let go of all the anger that you were holding on to your whole life. Remember that the universe is a mirror. This is a mirror. Everything that you see is mirroring you. This is a reflection from inside of you. So that's a perfect way to see what's going on in your life, by watching this movie. What keeps coming up in my movie? What situations keep coming up?
Once way back, I was in a romantic relationship with someone that had a lot of narcissistic traits, and I was seeing a therapist and trying to work through all of that. And the therapist, I believe with all the best intentions possible, just told me that I needed to leave the relationship. And it just floored me, it just undid me. But I spent some time meditating and thinking about it, and I decided, I knew that was not what I wanted. And I knew these principles that we're talking about here tonight. So I decided that I was going to use the situation as a mirror. So the truth, I knew the higher truth. The higher truth was I created this reality. And I created this situation in the relationship somehow, not because I consciously intended to be, in a relationship with a narcissistic person, but because somewhere on an unconscious level, I was attracting that to myself. And so I spent some time meditating on it, and it came to me. The truth was, I'm the narcissist. It's me. It's me. And I had about 24 to 48 hours of this really profound experience where every time in my life that I've acted in a narcissistic, wounding way to other people, to my children, to my ex-husband, to my mother, all of that was just like played in front of me, like a movie reel in my head. And I was so broken. I said, that is the truth. It is me. I'm the narcissist. And I want you to know that after that, that person had I don't know if it was that they changed, or I changed, or both of us did, but that situation completely changed. And those kind of dynamics just left. So everybody that we're encountering is another us. They're mirroring something back to us. If I get in a situation where, I'm having angry people like shouting me at the store or on the road, I'm like, must be carrying around some anger. It's not always the case, but I found a lot of times that it can be. Did you have to do that?
Well, I was just going to say that she kept calling me a narcissist all the time, so I knew, but I didn't quite have the guts yet to say anything to her yet. Evidently, she figured it out.
All right, any other questions about that stuff?
I got a question on something else.
Yeah, okay.
Can we get a light language transmission for focus and concentration? Not just for like work and school, but also for like if you're doing yoga and trying to focus on energy.
Yeah, sure. Sounds good. Let's do that. Yeah, And before we do that, I'll just share, you'll feel the energy shift a little bit because we'll go to the Pleiadians for that, and they're ninth dimensional, so they're like a higher, lighter, they'll feel maybe lighter to you in their frequency and their manner. And the Pleiadian society is around 75% female, so you may feel like sense that they're very feminine and maternal and comforting, and also I found that for me they tend to be able to help me the most with emotional things.
And if you take a few deep breaths and just try to relax and open up as much as you can, you will get the most out of this transmission.
Yes, hello dear ones, thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Yes, we would love to help with this request. And we will share, of course, that meditation is of great benefit for helping with focus and attention. And of course, it is very normal in the beginning to feel that you're not being very successful because the mind, if you're new to meditation, has learned to wander and be diverted in many different ways. And so meditation can feel a little unnatural in the beginning, and that can cause you to feel frustrated, but we encourage you to keep with it, because in meditation is the place in which you begin to experience higher perspectives and higher vibration and frequency, and begin to have thoughts that are thoughts that will expand you into great freedom. And more of the beautiful being that you are, the unlimited being that you are. And we will say this concerning attention and focus. Have you ever wondered how it is that the Creator can give attention to billions of souls without feeling overwhelmed?
Yeah.
You see, the creators are like one who can watch billions of screens at once and not miss a beat of anything going on with any of the visions in front of them. So let's start by increasing your capacity to receive input from many varied channels at once without overwhelm. How about that?
Sounds good.
I should try to in a yona he could it's a age to eat to go Ora ta to get none uta ish to get eat to get or yene to go sate. It's yene ra to get and I itchy under the guy to get the usta. Ora ta uta ash to eat to get tight toy. Na eat the yene so much not in the gate. Ranane good today, stick it out and take it. Chica I know outside like it is so it to set the day. Look at I was stuck at it and take it at it and the high stick you think I did. I it should die in the right day, and we release you from all sense of being overwhelmed. Take a deep breath. Now, let us come around you and give you that laser focus you are wanting. We want to help you to be like a horse with blinders on that can listen to the voice of source and respond no matter what is going on around you. Have you ever heard of a war horse, dear?
I think so.
These are horses that are trained to feel the slightest nudge of the master. And they can follow the master's direction even if there are bombs and shouts and screams and weapons and ammunition flying. They are trained to work in these environments. They can even step over bodies as needed and keep moving forward as the master directs. Would anybody here like to have that sort of skill and sensitivity?
Absolutely.
Yes.
So we're going to give you a transmission now to be like a war horse that can listen to the voice of the master and follow with the slightest nudge and no distractions. I utiki sa entai shitike I una da washtikite rata a isika ya na eka uta ka rata rosh da peka re to nakate o shota to take a shit sota ashte. And we even cover your eyes so that you will only see what you need to see. We cover your ears so that you will only hear what you need to hear. And we lift up your sensitivity to every small nudge, every small directive and command of the higher self. And that when you need to focus, that you can be singular in your focus. And do not worry a bit, dear. You have everything you need to be successful and more. And we call forward all those skills and all that intelligence. Yes, we call it forward. Even skills that you acquired in your past life be remembered and illuminated and at your disposal.
Thank you.
Maybe one or two more?
And let me just say about meditation, what I hear the most is that I can't do it. Well, who's telling you you can't do it? Your mind. Who are you trying to get control of? Your mind. So it's because you expect something. If you just keep meditating, if you decide the best thing to do is say, I'm going to do it every day for 3 months, and then at the end of 3 months, I'll see whether it's worth it or not. And I've never had anybody that did that did not say it was completely worth it. But it's going to be a little gradual. And so the thing about the meditation is, one of the things is, if you can do it at night time, because one of the reasons we sleep is to repair damage done during the day. So you want to go to sleep in a growth and repair state, not a fight or flight state. So even if you like to meditate during the day or in the morning, that's fine. Just do maybe 5 minutes or 10 minutes before you go to bed. And what you will find is you'll have a meditation and you'll say, man, that was the worst meditation ever. They were throwing all kinds of things at me. They were, you know, what the mind will do is it'll know your where you're attached. It'll start throwing things at you. Like you'll be sitting there and all of a sudden it'll say food and you'll go, oh yeah, food. Yeah, what am I going to have for dinner? Oh, wait a minute. And then it says sex. Oh yeah, sex. I think I'll have sex tonight. So it keeps throwing the things that it knows is going to throw you off. So when you have a really, really bad night where you're just getting all kinds of things and you can't seem to stay with it, stay in that state, not get attached, it's because your mind's losing. It's giving you a battle. It's losing. So it's trying to get you to say, this isn't working, I'm going to stop. So what you would consider to be your worst meditation can be your best. And then gradually what you want to do when you meditate is you want to start to see the gaps between your thoughts. Look for the gaps. And then the gaps can get bigger and bigger and bigger. And in those gaps is God. And in those gaps is everything you ever need to know about anything.
So, we've got so many questions. Go ahead. Oh yeah, go ahead, dear.
I just had a couple things that I misplaced that I was curious if you could help me out with that.
Yeah, please. Oh, well, we're fine. Let's see.
I misplaced a water bottle, a necklace, and earbuds.
At the same time, or
No, it's all different things, but
Needs to meditate more.
Well, actually, you know what? I think that this would be a good place to bring in a mini about. We'll ask you as well, but about how that you can do that for yourself.
okay.
Okay. So what you'll do is when you go to bed at night, you want to tell me what to do?
Yeah, because
Go for it.
Yeah.
This
So-
works.
When you go to sleep, you go down through the beta state, which is the bit where you're active, into the alpha, theta, and delta state. And in the alpha state, that's a state in which you can connect with your higher self, God, or whoever, and you can get information that you can't get when you're in the beta state. Thomas Edison would get pictures in his dreams of things. He didn't know what it would do, and then he'd make it before, and then he'd find out what it was, like a light bulb or something. So what he did was he took a metal ball and he'd sit in a chair and he'd hold it in his hand, and then he put a plate down below there, and when he fell asleep and he relaxed enough, the ball would drop, hit the plate, wake him up, and because a lot of times we do not remember, and then he immediately write down what thoughts and what he saw, what visions he had. And if you go to Philadelphia, there's a statue of him, and in his hand is the ball. So what you do is, because your mind does not sleep, so you want to put it to work during the night, but you want it to put to work about something good. You don't want to watch TV and go to bed, sleep with your mind thinking about war and all. You always want to think about positive things. So one of the things you do is you say, I want to remember a dream, and in this dream I want to understand and know where I put my water bottle. Okay? So one time I got a new car, I got a new Audi, and this was years ago, and on the little thing that you hold here, I would push the trunk and it wouldn't open. And I thought, well, this is crazy. You know, it's a brand new car. It's an Audi. It's a German car. You know, they do really good work. I must be doing something wrong. So that night I programmed a dream. And in the dream, I was driving to a restaurant. And I got out of the car and there was a valet there. And the guy got into the car and he said, would you like me to go ahead and put the valet button in to keep your trunk locked so that nobody can get into your trunk? He said, it's in your glove box. So the next day I run out to my car, open the glove box, and there's a little button in there, and I push it, and now the trunk worked. So evidently some cars, if you go somewhere where you don't want anybody, you can lock the trunk without, and still give them the key. So anyway, that's what I did one time, and that's how it worked. Now, if sometimes you have to program just remembering a dream. If you don't remember any dreams, and you just, when you lay down there and you're half asleep, just say I want to remember my dreams. I want to remember my dreams. So the first thing you do is you have to remember your dreams, and then once you remember them, then you can start to program your dreams. Even to the point where there was somebody, I forget who it was, I think it may have been Tesla, who would put a book underneath his pillow, and the next morning he knew everything in the book.
It was
He-
Edgar Casey.
Edgar Cayce, right, Edgar Cayce, yeah. So he would program a dream. I wanna get all this information, and the next morning he'd know it all.
And if you're a student, I mean, I would definitely try that. I mean, that's a documented phenomenon of
Yeah.
Ed Casey's. He would put the book under his head and sleep on it, and in the morning he would know everything in the book.
See, people think that the mind is inside your head, is inside your brain. It's not. It's outside. Nowadays they have instruments where if you go to get that checked, they don't put the things on your brain anymore or on your skull anymore. You put your head in this machine and it's not even touching your head because your mind is outside of you. It's not inside you. That's why people can astral project. That's why people can do all those different things. That's why people can find out that their son who is in China is in trouble. Wake up in the middle of the night and know their son's in trouble. So your mind is not locked in here, so it can go and it can get the information in the book. It can do other things as well. And if you practice something like that enough, when you go take a test, if you don't know the answer to this question, then you close your eyes a second and you say, who would know the answer to this question? Thomas Edison. Okay, Thomas Edison, what's the answer to this question? And whatever pops into your head will be the answer.
So I would recommend just start with one item
Okay.
tonight, and before you go to sleep, say, tonight I'm going to remember where my water bottle is.
How long
Let us
ago
know how
did
it
you
goes.
lose your water bottle?
And is it really important to you?
All these things are, yeah.
The water bottle?
I mean, yeah.
How long ago
Yeah.
did you lose it?
The water bottle was probably a couple months ago.
Yeah, you left it here.
A month or two, really?
Yeah.
Ah, that's great.
Yeah, see how quick it works?
I love it.
Is it the green one?
Yeah.
All right. Chad.
That's so funny.
We only got 2 more to go.
And then a necklace and some earbuds, and that was more recently
Okay, I'm not sure which one, but one of them you left at a friend's house.
at a friend's house.
Yeah. I think the necklace. So, and I totally support you in asking for angelic help with small things. I
Uh-huh.
think that's really important that we start with small things. I totally agree with that. Does anybody else have?
Can you just go back to that thing about the book? Because there's
Yeah.
something that
It would
Yeah.
be easy
There's-
for him.
there's something I'm supposed to read for work, but it's just like very dense, and I just don't really want to. So if I just put it underneath my pillow.
Yeah,
then-
but it does take some practice, so you might have to, what you might want to do is start with a simple book. Maybe not too big, not a real fat one or anything, with simple information first.
Okay.
And then do that a couple of nights and then give the book to somebody and say, ask me a question out of that book and see if you can recall it. Then you can move on. Because you said it's very dense and everything, so it might take your mind a little bit more time. If it takes you more time when you're reading it, it's going to take your mind more time because
Yeah,
it's your
it's-
mind that's reading it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would start with something a little easier and then work your way up.
And
And-
you could get it as a download.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. That's what the Palladians do for me. They give me downloads. And it's like, all of a sudden it's like a click, and all of a sudden I know something about everything. It's just whatever that topic is. They tell me, they say, you know everything that there is to know about this subject now. Now, is it right there in my mind that I can hear it and see it? No, but if I need it, it's right there. It comes right to me. And that's this is the truth about anything. You can ask and you shall receive. All you got to do is ask the question. Now, I went through a period where if I had a question, the answer would immediately follow. And then I'd go to all these seminars with all these famous people, and I say, okay, I want to ask a question, you know. And so I'd be sitting in the audience, and I'd say, okay, let's ask. Oh, there's the answer. Shoot. Okay, let me ask. Oh no, there's the answer. And I got so frustrated because I didn't get to ask anything. But you can get to that point. Your mind, you know, there's some people that think there's only one mind. There's really only one mind, and you're using a piece of that one mind. How come enlightened people know everything? You know, they do. It's not that it's all in their head, it's just that all they need to do is think of what they want to know when it's there. And you can say you're tuning into the acoustic records, if you want to call it that, or whatever. But remember, we're unlimited co-creators with God. We're unlimited beings. Unlimited beings. There's nothing that we can't do. The only thing that prevents us from doing it is we don't believe we can. That's it. That's it.
Yeah. If I were you, I'd put it under my pillow and I'd say, you know, I'm going tonight as I sleep. I'm going to learn everything I need to know from this book. And then in the morning, just let it go from there. And then when you're at work and something comes up and you're supposed to know something that you were supposed to know from that book, it'll be there for you.
If you don't quite feel confident enough, then you might just want to go everything in the first chapter or something like that. See whether or not you believe it. So if there's something that is too unbelievable to you, like that you can fly, you can, but because it's so unbelievable, you can't do it because you unconsciously will not believe that that's possible. So learning how to manifest and things like that is you have to believe that it works. And so a lot of times, like if you want to manifest $1 million, well, you start off with 1,000. And then when you manifest 1,000, wow, this works. Let's go for 10,000. And then you get 10,000. Holy cow, okay, let's go for 100,000. And so you're getting more and more confidence.
Chuck's really good at that. He got a $50,000 check in the mail the other day.
Yeah.
He's very good at that.
Did you spend it already?
Yep, I did.
All right. Go for 100,000 next time.
I have a question for you, Chuck, about the mind. I totally believe what you said, I mean, I'm totally for it, but how do you explain dementia and Alzheimer's?
Well, those are just beliefs. Those are just programmed beliefs that we're getting from the medical community.
It's the hardening of the clay.
It's just you like a patient was telling me the other day. He's I don't know, in his 50s or something, and they said we should check you for Alzheimer's. What? Why? Because I'm planting a seed in your unconscious mind that you might get Alzheimer's. When I was it's just like the story where this is a documented story. The doctor told him he had liver cancer and he was going to die within 6 months. He died, and they did an autopsy. He did not have liver cancer, but he believed the doctors. How do these people in the South, how do they drink strychnine poison and that doesn't hurt them? Because they believe that God's protecting them. Was God protecting them? No, but they believe it. How does somebody go to the Fountain of Lourdes and drinks the water and they're cured of cancer, but 99% of all the other people go there don't get cured of anything? Because that person believed it. How come some people say your diet will cure cancer? Some people say that vitamin K will cure cancer. So if you believe it, then it will work. It's just a matter of whether or not you believe it. So that's all it is. It's funny because people don't understand that we're being programmed to get sick all the time. Why are there commercials on TV for drugs that are prescription drugs? We can't prescribe them, and these 50% of the ads are for drugs, and it's very, very expensive. These ads are millions and millions of dollars. So why are they doing it? Because the advertising agencies and the experts have learned that it takes 2 years of hitting the airwaves talking about a certain disease before people start to get that disease. Why? Because they're hypnotized by the TV. And then they come on and say, you have blah, blah, blah. They'll tell the symptoms, which is going into your head, like, say, Viagra, ED. And so you hear that over and over again, and it keeps going into your head, and it takes about 2 years before you create a subconscious belief about that. And so, and they also tell you the side effects. You listen to side effects? 50% of the time, the last one's death.
They're horrible.
Are you kidding me? The last one's death. So why do they tell you the side effects? They tell you that because when you go to your doctor and he tells you the side effects, you've heard it so many times you zone it out. Just like if you have a child that yells fire and you run into the living room, there's no fire, and you go back in and he yells fire, you run into the living room, there's no fire. Eventually, you're just not going to respond. Well, that's what they do to you. And so that's...
I don't like saying they, because I think we need to take some responsibility.
Well, yeah, of course.
I think it's all of us. It's a collective subconscious. We are all believing that. It's
I
not
don't.
just because somebody.
Well, not everybody believes in that.
No, but most of us do.
Believe in what?
Believe on getting sick. Believe on the man. That's why we do. It's not enough for the TV to say to. I don't really like the idea. I don't really like to give up my responsibility and my power.
Oh, don't. But that doesn't mean that they're not trying to hypnotize you. Maybe
Oh,
it doesn't
sure,
work on
yeah,
you. I'm not
right.
saying everybody gets hypnotized, but that's why they do it, and it works.
We've got a couple more questions, if you guys don't mind me moving off that
Okay.
topic. Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
Go ahead, dear.
Me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay. Well, it's kind of on this, it's like a somber subject. I have a friend
It's okay.
who her mom is dying of cancer, and I just want to see what Judah or the Pleiadians or whatever, like she's spiritually minded, and I wonder what the right thing, how to frame it, like losing a parent to, so quickly, like, I don't know, I just want to see what Judah has to say about it.
Okay. And you want a message for your friend or the mom?
Yeah, maybe for my friend, just how to deal with, losing a parent to cancer rather quickly, and how to frame it in her mind.
Okay. Do you mind giving me your first name? It helps me a lot.
Cassie.
Cassie. Okay. Sometimes it helps me a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes. Okay, good. Thank you for telling us about dear Cassie. And yes, we would say that be there for her. Of course, you are there for her. And let her feel anything she wants to feel. And make it okay for her to feel anything she wants to feel. If she wants to laugh and play and go to a movie, then do that. If she wants to cry or be sad or be very angry, let her be that. Let her know it's okay to be whatever she needs and wants to be, and that you'll be there with her in that. Suffering around a loved one's death is not required, it is optional. And it would be our wish for Cassie that she would not suffer when her mother passes, because her mother, it's a hated saying that they're going to a better place. It's a hated saying, but isn't it true? It is so very true. And the moment she steps over, she will be in bliss and grace and love and care. And so Cassie probably won't want to hear that from you, but we would say that suffering is an option. So you can help her to choose a better option in the wake of her mother's death by not immediately going to the place of suffering and sadness. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And if she needs to go there, you may go there with her. But it's okay if she doesn't. Sometimes there is a pressure on loved ones when their dear one passes to feel a certain way or to enter some depths of despair and suffering, and that's not required. One area that you can help Cassie is this, in letting her know that her mother is still very, 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 very present. You see, a soul without a body is not different than a soul with a body. A soul is still a soul. And so you can reassure her that her mother is there and that she can talk to her mother in the same way that she always has. And encourage her to look for the signs and messages her mother is sending her when her mother passes. And encourage her to continue on in relationship with her mother. And what else can we answer for you about Cassie?
That's really good. That's beautiful. Thank you.
Good, thank you. And there are some passages in the book about that could be of help.
One of the mistakes that people make when they have somebody who's passing, who's in the process of dying, is thinking they have to have a stiff upper lip and say, oh, you're gonna make it, or just pretend like they're not sad. No, that's the wrong thing to do. Now is the time to be honest with them. They will appreciate that. Have a good cry with them. That will make it easier on them, and it'll make it easier on you. And so, you know, like in the commune where I lived, we would celebrate, sing and dance when somebody left. And so, you know, to have a celebration. And if you think about it, if you're going to leave, do you really want to look back at a bunch of people crying and sad? No, you want them to be singing and dancing and celebrate your life. So what I came up with when I pass away, I'm going to get this suit, and I'm going to have fireworks put into the suit. And then I'm going to have a cremation, and the fireworks are going to go all over the place. That's what I'm going to do.
Probably not legal, but okay.
I won't care. I'm dead.
Thank you, Chuck.
Okay, I think, is this you, Adriana, that wrote in? Yes. Okay, is it okay if we do something a little different? Would you mind if we love on you a little bit?
Love or love?
Yeah, love on you.
Oh, sure, thanks.
Okay, is it okay if I read your?
Yeah.
Okay, so Adriana wrote earlier this week, probably not realizing she would be here. Dear Judah, I'm very scared that I haven't been able to find a job in my town in months. My situation is particular and I want some guidance. Will it happen and when, but mostly what is the delay, and I'm about to run out of money. I've tried everything. So here she is, and so I would like to, if you wouldn't mind, if we could all just kind of sit around you in a circle and just love on you a little bit. And it's so cool that you're here. I'm so thrilled because I actually had in my heart, I was kind of meditating about your question. Come sit right here.
Angie, can you close out for our online viewers?
Yeah, I can. Bye, everybody. Love you. Thanks for being here.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone.
Come sit right here, Mom.
I was like,